Hello everyone, and we're live. So nice to see you. Sorry for the unusual time because people here are in different time zones and it was a bit hard to collect everyone together. So here we have three really big people for Rogue Trader, which are Ilya Ifanov, who is the lead sound designer for the game, Pavel Perpelitsa, who is the lead composer, and Pavel Lipsky, who is the composer for the game as well. Guys, can you say something just so we check the sound and stuff?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Okay, audience, do you guys hear us well? And I think I'm hearing myself from somebody of you. Just get me lower a little. Okay, loud and clear. Great. So, I will let Ilya have the first word. He will explain a bit how the whole theme began, how we worked on the main theme, how the music works in general in Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, and like how it all began. Go on, Ilya.
Okay, yeah. So basically, during pre-production, when we're trying to find like what kind of art style the game is going to have, what kind of gameplay, what kind of plot we are going to build, we're also looking for uh, some kind of references, and we're trying to find some solutions for our soundtrack.
Ilya,
So
just a second. There is an echo from somebody. I think it's from one of the Pavels. Guys, can you
okay,
turn down the volume a bit so we don't hear ourselves? Check, check, check. Okay,
one, two, three. Okay,
okay,
Check,
are we
check.
good?
this works. Yes, we are good. Go on.
Okay, so yeah, where did I stop? Okay, yeah, during pre-production, we're trying to find solution how we're going to build the entire OST for the game. And in most of cases, in our games, the process was almost the same for the Pathfinder games. Uh, we trying to find these solutions via iterating and playing around with the main theme. So basically, it is our internal requirement that for the first or the second milestone of the project, we're supposed to have the main theme written, and it's supposed to be approved by all our team members and our IP holder. And after
Just to
that,
stop
we
you
can.
for a moment, please explain the audience what is the milestone you're talking about, because I'm sure not
Okay,
everybody knows what it is.
yeah, there are multiple milestones during the development, and the very first one is the pre-production. It's basically the milestone where we write ton of papers and documents regarding how we're going to build the game, what is going to be about, what creative approaches are going to be used in all the things like art, music, sound design, voiceover, and game designers and level designers writing their systems ideas. Like basically, it's a milestone about a lot of paperwork.
Planning.
Yeah, planning.
Pretty much
Yeah,
it's planning. So no actual work is getting done in the sense of
there are
like
probably some
some
prototypes,
yeah.
something, but it doesn't really like.
Yeah,
It's not a game
mostly it's
at this
about
point.
planning.
Yeah. And after that, we've got a vertical slice milestone. By the end of this milestone, we're supposed to have a small portion of the game that already plays and feels like a final game. Yeah, they're possible to have placeholders here and there. Some stuff might not be implemented at this point, but still the most important thing to achieve during this milestone is to get the right feeling of the game. At this point, we should be able to say it like, yeah, this is the game that we want to build, that we want to ship by the end of the day. But it's supposed to be like 10 times bigger than what we have.
If I remember correctly, the first vertical slice was the battle at Janus, right?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was the battle with the Eldari and the rebels. That was the vertical slice. Yeah. So that was the part of the game that all of the team got to see originally for the first time.
Yeah, that's correct. And also, by the end of vertical slice, we're supposed to have a main theme and probably some setting music, how we call it, like the music that belongs to certain locations and beyond.
Settings. Like
Settings, yeah.
Ion, yeah.
Yeah. For example, we do have a specific setting internally. Technically, we call it garden vault.
Do you want me to turn it on?
Not really. Yeah, we're just going to back to the main theme after that. So yeah, at this point, main theme is supposed to be written, and some setting biome music supposed to be written as well. Why it is important for us? Because basically, in the main theme, we establishing the style, the approach for the entire original
game,
soundtrack.
I suppose.
Yeah, the entire game, like the sound of the entire game depends on this asset. And basically, this theme, apart from being memorable, being interesting, because yet again, why main theme is so important. It's the very first thing that our player
hears,
hear when he or she launches the game.
I actually remember when one of the big streamers, I think Bricky, first time heard it during the beta. He pretty much just turned on the game and spent just a few minutes listening to the theme, just going.
Like, yeah, it's a pretty important asset. Let's call it that way. Also, it is important because in this theme, we're basically creating building blocks which are going to be used for the rest of the soundtrack. So, for example, in Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, I'd say the most important building block that we established at that point of the development for music was excessive use of metallic percussions. Basically, this idea started when our creative director said to us that the music in this game is supposed to feel like you are flying in the giant factory between the stars, and it's somehow still working, but with some malfunctions. Clinks and clunks everywhere. So yeah, that's the feeling that we were looking for. And yeah, basically, this phrase established this idea that metal percussion is supposed to be used like across entirety of the soundtrack.
Certainly, you guys had things you were like taking as reference for this. Maybe a couple of examples.
Yeah, I can provide something. I do have a original document written by myself in May 24th of 2021. It was original music.
So that was before the release of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
Yes, right. That's correct. So yeah, obviously Mechanicus OST was used as a big inspiration for us because it's pretty obvious that at that point that was the best OST released for Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, I think we all agree it was amazing.
At least in our team, like everyone's was like, that's the soundtrack that truly hits proper Warhammer 40k vibes. And also we did use some music as a reference from Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. Some tracks from Dawn of War 3 and 1 and 2, all of them. Basically, we really liked the melody part of the Warhammer Dawn of War first and the second part. But in the third one, we really liked the approach because first two games were released 10-15 years ago. They felt pretty old sound-wise, but the third part of this series was released I do not remember 5-6 years ago, maybe a bit earlier, so it doesn't matter. It sounded just a bit more modern, and that's why we really liked it. Also, there were some weird, I'd say, inspirations that comes from our team members who used to play Warhammer Rogue Trader even before we started.
Like the tabletop game, I suppose.
Yeah, the tabletop game. Like, I'd say it was the time then Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous was like in early stages of the development or somewhere at that point. So I think it would be interesting to hear this track because it's not what you would really expect
Sure.
to be used as
Show
a
us.
reference.
Show us. That's interesting.
So yeah, here's the thing. It's called Ice Ages. And yeah, it's pretty old school, like 90s electronic music, like feels industrial, something like this. So yeah, Starro, could you play it for us?
Yeah. Do you guys hear it right now?
Yeah, I do hear it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would never expect this to be a reference, to be honest.
Initially, this was the reference from the guys who were playing Rogue Trader tabletop, and this is what they were listening during these sessions.
Interesting.
Yet, I'd say for some settings, like we do have specific music set for Space Hulk. You kind of can hear some inspiration coming from music like this. Yeah. So
we have a few questions in the chat, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
we don't
of
skip
course.
them. First question is why Pavel Lipsky went so hard on the Rogue Trader soundtrack? Why did you have to go so hard? Why is it so cool?
Well, I can say that we're gonna talk with more detail about the Act 4 and the Necron's soundtrack, so
Yeah, we'll get to
I
that.
think we can wait a little bit. Yeah, so we will get to that in due time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you.
And question to the team, how do you guys decide which composer writes what part of the game?
Oh, that's a complicated question.
Yeah, truly complicated.
Okay, I would say it like this. So, for example, the main team, as far as I remember, 5 or 6 composers tried to write it.
I remember
actually,
it was taking really a long time. I think it was more than
I'd say
Wrath of
half
the
a year.
Righteous, right?
It took at least half a year or even more. I do not remember exactly, but it was very, very long process. Initially, Dmitry Silantiev tried to write the main theme, and Pavel Perepelitsa as well. None of them succeeded with that. Like they wrote good themes, but they were not
used
hitting
for
the
something
right.
else. If I remember.
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Yeah. Should I show like the theme that could be the main theme?
Okay, yeah. So Dmitry Silantiev wrote 2 themes that actually could have become the main theme, but they ended up being used as different themes. So the first one is the Imperium of Man. It is basically what was
number
the name
2,
of,
right? The Imperium.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's number 2, but
this one.
Yeah, this
I
one.
remember voting for this team. Like, go on.
Yeah, let's take a listen to it for like 15-20 seconds.
Yeah, I'll just make it louder a bit. Yeah, I think in the end it's used for the dogmatic playthrough.
Yeah. Basically, it's a dogmatic theme, and we're using it for the most important moments in
Yeah.
in the game for dogmatic playthrough, but also it is used for some big fancy moments in the game, like coronation in Dorgonos by the end of chapter 2, triumph whenever the moment when you ride a tank, and yeah, things like this in the game are also covered by this team. Yet we did not use this team as the main team because of a couple of reasons. First of all, yes, it feels very Warhammery, like it belongs to the universe.
Yeah, but it's very
But
imperial. Yeah,
it is
like,
very imperial, and it would be perfect team for like if we would be making some game about space marines, let's call it.
yeah.
Yeah, it would fit because it's
Like
very
pure
militaristic.
Yeah, it lacks that like pirate freelancer vibe that Rogue Trader should have.
Yeah, we were missing that part. After that, Dmitry Silentev tried to write another team.
And somebody in the chat, Didi Kiki, already figured that out, so it's this one.
Yes,
This
it's
one
Nomos.
could become
Nomos
the main theme as well, yes.
Yes, this was the second option, I believe.
So yeah, as you can see, the themes that like did not make it as the main one, they are still used in the game mostly. Of course, sometimes, yeah. Of course, there have been themes that were not used. Things happen. Unfortunately, we can't even show them to you. Yeah, but there is always a lot of iterations when. Oh.
Okay. Let me continue the story.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these guys as well, so I'm also like, oh. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Okay, so after like I'd say 5 composers tried to write this theme, and none of them succeeded. At this point, at the same time, we are already writing and developing setting music. So the theme that is used for the combat during space battles.
Should I turn it on as well?
Yeah, it was.
Which one was
it? At this point, it was developed like in somewhere in the middle of the process, but we had this issue that we do not know where we're supposed to go with the main theme. And during that meeting, our producer Anatoly Shestov came to this meeting and said, "Hey guys, I've heard this space battle theme. Why don't we try this theme to be developed as the main theme? Because to his taste, this theme had proper feeling that we were trying to find."
Which one was it again? Like the number or
the number of the track? Yeah, just give me a second. I'll give you the number.
Just so that people hear it, because I also wouldn't expect that this theme was the original for the main theme. I was thinking it was the other way around when I first heard it.
Well, it's somewhere in the OST.
Broadside Cannonade, what was it?
The broadside? Yeah, Broadside Cannonade, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. So guys, this is the original for the main theme.
Yeah.
And this specific intro is only part of the digital OST, because Pavel just added it in the end.
It was added, I think, then I finished all the music for the space combat theme. I just started working on the spatial album mix of this, and I'm a huge fan of, like growly basses and all those Sicario type stuff. And I started thinking about, man, I want to hear this in Warhammer universe, and I just did it. Yeah.
Because you
Yeah,
could.
basically, so in fact, the first 10 seconds of this track exist only in this album. They are not in the game.
I think
Okay.
we're actually getting to the part which was directly referenced. No, not yet. A bit sooner.
I think it's not Roadside Cannonade. I think it's in another
No.
track.
I think it's this one.
You sure? I'm not sure, because
Well,
when the stars tremble, it's the truly origin of the main theme. I
Really?
mean,
Oh!
yeah,
yeah,
on
I know
let's
why
try another one.
we did
32.
have this mistake.
Yeah, I can send it.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Why that happened? Because originally we wrote 2 space combat teams, but they were blending between each other so good. So from the technical point of view, we put it into one track all at once. I will explain you how the music works, like under the hood, a little bit later.
This is the
but
moment.
that's what the reason. Because in my head, it's still one track, not 2 tracks like in OST. Because I'm just used to look at this from the technical underhood
Yeah,
point of view.
and for me also, it's 2 themes, 2 separate themes, not the one. So I just can identify which theme is.
Yeah, because
So,
they are pretty
yeah.
close.
Yeah, they're pretty close. It's from the same template, from the same, it's the same project actually. It's just a long timeline. I think it's 8 minutes of music, I believe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something like this.
I think it's the time Ilya explains a little on how you do this thing with the parts of the music colliding together.
Okay, yes, Space Combat would be an easy example.
Yeah, this is a big thing that only came in Rogue Trader. This was not used in Wrath of the Righteous, as far as I'm aware, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
something
correct.
new that you guys invented for this game.
Not really invented.
But-
That's pretty common approach in
you
game
get-
audio,
you
but
get me, you
for
get
our
me.
games, it was a new thing.
Okay, please go on.
Okay, so basically, let's say the most two of the most important part of the music of the game are the 2 types of tracks: exploration tracks and combat tracks. So exploration tracks are being played whenever you explore the
when you just go
location,
around, yeah.
interact with the NPCs, things like that. And combat obviously used in combat. So exploration tracks, in most of cases in our game, written as a normal tracks. I believe every setting, every biome has, in most of cases, 3 exploration tracks, and it is basically 1.5 to 2 minutes per track, and it's just a normally written track.
And usually
No-
that music is rather like slow. Or
it's
chill.
rather slow, chill, kind of meditating. Like for example, for space map, that was the word that's being used a lot. Like it's supposed to be meditating because you're like clicking planets, exploring things, and yeah. And the combat music. The combat music in our game consists of 2 layers: hard and soft. And it depends on which enemy you are fighting against in the current encounter. So internally, all the enemies under the hood, they have 8 or 9 categories that is used for like stats modification, things like this. I do not know exactly what they do because it's a game designer's thing. But basically, we say if the mob, a monster, an enemy belongs to, let's say, first 4 groups out of these 9, it's triggering soft combat. So it's not very intensive. It's not super powerful in the way how it sounds. But if you have in the same encounter an enemy who belongs to higher tiers of these mobs and units, it triggers hard combat. And whenever you kill a hard enemy and you still have soft enemies
The track switches.
around, yeah, the track switches. It plays a specific transition part, and we're switching from hard to soft.
Should
And
we
also,
probably show something of this? Do you have example? For example, maybe the footfall tracks would fit for this?
kinda, yeah, we can. It's hard to explain without showing under.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sure we have the tracks that are more soft and
Okay,
more
yeah,
composed
yeah,
of
okay.
hard parts.
Yeah, let's jump to the not footfall. Let's use the music that is played during prologue. So the soft combat track is number 7, Scuffle on the Deck.
Scuffle on the deck. Okay, so this is the example of the soft track, right?
Yeah. So as you can hear, it's not very dramatic.
Yeah, it's not intensive.
It's still it still have some tension, but it doesn't go over the top. And then there is a. Let me check.
This was written by Pavel Perpelitsi, by the way.
Yeah. And then there is number 13, Boarded. It's a hard track for the prologue.
Yeah, you can hear as it gets more intense.
It's quicker. It's more like it's like pushing like really hard from it just really it's not so far from the soft combat, but it's quicker, it's bigger, it's
louder.
Yeah, it's louder. Definitely, it's louder.
Yeah, and this is basic idea how the combat music works. But there is one more thing that we had to address, and this is heavily influenced how we wrote the entire music for the game, especially combat tracks. So, in Pathfinder, in the Wrath of the Righteous, real-time with boss was the main mode, and all the game has been designed around that, and music as well. So we know that, like in most of cases, encounter in Pathfinder in real-time mode could take like 20-30 seconds to fight, and that's it. But here in Rogue Trader, turn-based mode is the only option, and turn-based battles can last like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. It depends on the difficulty of the encounter.
Yeah.
And what does it mean for music? We couldn't write like 2 tracks, or let's say 1 track for 3 minutes, and
that would get repetitive.
yeah, it's just gonna get repetitive, and you're gonna turn it off. This is not what we wanted. So we decided to use modular approach to the way how we wrote the music. So every combat track is splitted by 5 phrases. So soft track has soft phrase 1, soft phrase 2, soft phrase 3, and so on. All these phrases can go into each other and loop without any issues. And every time, whenever you start a battle, small intra segment of soft or hard team is being played, depends on the enemies. And after that, it goes into randomly selected one of these 5 phrases. For soft or hard, depends on the conditions. And then each time the phrase ends, we randomly select next phrase, and we remember 2 or 3 phrases that were played, and we do not play them again. So this way the music
Music
is not
actually
getting
tries not to get repetitive. That's a really cool feature.
Yeah, that's the main point. And all of the combat tracks were written in such manner. And yeah, it was quite challenging, and also in terms of the amount of music that has to be written, because every biome is supposed to have 3 exploration tracks. Sometimes it has 2, depends on the amount of time we expect a player to spend in these biomes. But in most of cases, it's 3 exploration tracks. Each track is minute and a half, 2 minutes long. And the combat tracks with all the transitions, intro phrases, and all this technical stuff, it's like 4.5 minutes. So we have 9 minutes of combat for each biome, and about like 4 to 6 minutes of exploration music. So around 15 minutes per setting of the original music supposed to be written for a biome.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we have more music in Rogue Trader than in previous projects, right?
Yes, that's
like
correct.
Considerably more, if I remember right.
Around 30% more. So Wrath of the Righteous had 2 hours, 20 minutes overall OST. In Rogue Trader, it's 3 hours, 7 minutes. Plus, there are some music cues that are not part of the OST release.
Yeah, like the intros and outros and stuff.
Like specific music for cutscenes. Let's say the very first cutscene that you see in the game is when the Cerebus Skull flying, and then you have the very first conversation with Conrad. This music piece was specifically written for this cutscene, and it wasn't included into the OST. And actually, we do have like, I'd say around 15-20 minutes of music that is in the game, but it wasn't released separately.
Yeah,
but who knows?
I think we will probably show some of them at some point, like we did for Wrath of the Righteous for the unreleased stuff. Somebody is saying, so the battle music depends on your combat tactics and effectiveness in a sense. Very cool. Thanks for the explanation. So to return a little to the main theme. So in the end, it took us like half a year, right, to find the right...
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah. And in the end, after it was done, I think that like part of the theme was used in more tracks. For instance, I think you can hear it in the like parts of it in character generation and in co-op menu. So you have like references to that sound.
Yeah, that actually brings us to the part where it was like the later third of the development, I'd say half a year before release, when we were recording live choir for some of our teams. And obviously main team had a live choir recorded for it. So I think Pavel Perepelitsa could elaborate on this topic.
Yeah, because, main theme was such a task, man. It's just, it was a long journey, and, the first versions of the main theme was recorded with my own voice, and the first versions you can find it on Owlcat YouTube channel. This is the version with just my own voice. I just placed a mic on the middle of a room and just recorded myself 60 times on some different points.
So let me get this straight. We had a chorus of Pavels.
Yeah, we absolutely have the chorus, the choir of Pavels, and it was funny. It was I've had so much fun doing it. Actually, it was it was absolutely different experience for me. Actually, and then. The theme was in this state for, I think, for a year, and
I think it was in the beta as it was in the first.
yeah, it was in a beta. Yeah, this version was in the beta, and then we started prepare some preparations to record the vocals, the choir live, and I just it was absolutely new experience for me because I haven't had this. I haven't had recordings like in this scale. It was like very big for me. So, but it was also really. I think it was like really usual. You just preparing stems, like it's the separate lines of instruments of choir, and you just sending them to the people who just writes who writes this score, and people just
sing.
and people just recording it later. Live, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I just have the music on the background.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. So
just so
yeah,
you guys
it
get
was
the idea which team we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think this was the only one recorded with live choir, right?
Yeah, and it's just a choir because because the nature of the Rogue Traders music is pretty hybrid. It's not about mostly it's not about the classical orchestra stuff like in the previous games in the franchise. It's mostly electronic and hybrid electronic with some acoustic elements and all stuff like this. So yeah, we started thinking about, okay, what we can record. Wow, really nice cat. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
interested what you're doing
So
here.
yeah, we started thinking which themes will be fully orchestrated and recorded fully live with string instruments, strings, with brass, with also with the choir, and we choose some different themes from our other composer Nikolai, and then the time when we was thinking about the main theme, we just decided to record only choir because not so many orchestra actually. There is just a few parts of strings and some parts on a cello that I recorded in my room, and that's it. That's the only orchestra. So
in the main team.
in the main theme, yeah.
Yeah, because yet again, there was no point to record the rest of the instruments because they were heavily designed by the Pavel, by his specific processing and things like this, and it would be a waste of resources to record any like live instruments.
Because it will be at the end, it will be filtered and processed to this, gritty industrial sound. So even the orchestra sounds very gritty and industrial too. So yeah, it's not
Okay.
there. Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the teams that were selected to be recorded with choir and orchestra, that was we had three teams. We recorded how we call it internally mystery team. You can play it for us, Starok.
Which was it?
It's if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just to explain for the audience, basically all themes first have internal names, and then they have the actual names in the end. And often
Ancient Mystery, I think it's called. Yeah.
The basic idea is that
I just sent it to the chat.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
So this.
Okay. Let's listen after that. I explain about the team naming. Okay.
I'll just read it from the chat. There is no need to say it, but I'll say it anyway. You guys nailed the atmosphere. So good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree, personally, as a big Warhammer 40k fan myself.
Yeah, thank you very much. It wasn't an easy task, but somehow we made it.
Yeah, actually, I think, like, in all our games, including Rock Trader, sound and music are always regarded as top-notch.
We
That's
try our
that's
best.
not an over-exaggeration.
Yeah, we tried our best, and it always was a creative challenge for us, actually.
Yeah. Okay, going back to these live recording teams. So this Ancient Mystery team was selected to be recorded with a live choir because, as you can hear, it has a lot of choir there. And also, it's kind of hidden in the mix, but actually there is a soloist, and it is bass soloist. And this bass soloist supposed to have like super low voice because it goes down to the, as far as I remember, somewhere in the range of I forgot what was the actual name of this type of voice in English. Let me check. Okay, basically the lowest of the bass singers supposed to...
I'm sure most of the people here don't know like what's the difference, but
Okay, yeah. So in any case, it was
just
super low,
very
and the
low
guy
voice.
who was recording this solo part, he was struggling a lot, like because it was super low.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
definitely.
that was a mistake on our part because whenever you write for live choir, you're supposed to take into account the ranges of the notes. But initially, we did not plan to use live choir, and we used programmed choirs samples, and it was possible to get that low with the software where. But for a human being, it was super extremely.
Yeah, but they managed it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
managed it. And also, this choir was one of the hardest to record because of the. It has four voices, four choir voices there, and some of the voices they create intervals like seconds, and others very hard to intonate clearly intervals, and the entire chord structure is very hard to perform clearly. And that's why I think most of the choir session been spent for this theme specifically because how hard it was to record this properly. Okay, moving on to the next theme that we recorded live. It was how we call it internally, powerful enemy theme. It is the theme that is being played during dialogues with the major enemies on the game, in the game. So,
And
for
that
example,
is,
that is Unfathomable. It's 68. Unfathomable.
oh, this one. Yeah, that's amazing. If I remember, first time you hear it in the prologue.
Yeah, that's correct.
So this was also recorded live, right?
Yeah, and here you can hear the orchestra, and it's also been recorded live. I'd say we picked this theme for the orchestra recording just because whenever we took a look at what we had at that point, we had, I believe, like 80% music was finished at that point, and we realized that there is only one theme among like narrative themes, how we call it. It's not setting music, but the theme which is used across the game during specific situations. Like Nomos theme is played whenever you interact with Nomos, or powerful enemy theme played whenever you have a conversation with some sort of major enemy in the game. So it is played, for example, in the dialogue that you have before Aurora appears in the end of chapter 1. It is played during the
I think
conversation.
with Edge of Daybreak.
Erimeris, Edge of Daybreak also. Erimeris in the end of chapter 3 also has this team being played. So yeah, basically we were limited in terms of which team would benefit from live recording. This was the first question, and the second one, which team will be used more frequently in the game, so we get more value out of live recording of this specific track. So yeah, we ended up choosing this team because it was the most orchestrated, the team which is used orchestra mostly and in more efficient way than the others. It has way less synthetic designed layers. It's mostly about the orchestra, so
Just
that's
level
why.
orchestra,
Yeah, that's why we picked it for the live recording.
So,
Okay. Yep.
like about the live recording, is there anything else, or should we maybe go on? I think Pavel Lipsky is getting a bit bored here. We need to
That's why
entertain
we're
him.
getting to the
Yep.
point where his time to shine. Okay, the very last track that we picked to record with the choir and soloist, it was how we call it internally, sad narrative theme. In the OST, it is named
the
Death of
Romance
the
theme?
Legend.
Ah,
No, Romance theme wasn't recorded
okay.
live because it wasn't written at that point.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So that should be in the beginning somewhere, right?
Death of the Legend.
Legend.
Number 11,
It's
yeah.
11. Yeah. Let's take a listen.
If you guys played the game, you hear this pretty close to the beginning. I would say Theodore, not Argento. Somebody's saying that it's
because the
Argento
very
music.
first time, then you hear this theme in the game, then you find out that Theodora's body in her cabinet.
Yeah, this theme is something you do not want to skip. But yeah, Pavel, tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, first of all, I have the score here. You cannot see it because my camera is blurred, but anyway. It's
Yeah,
here.
just hold it for a moment. It should be able to.
Here.
There it is.
Yeah, so I've been quiet for a while now, so I'm gonna talk a lot.
Go on.
Anyway, so this theme, yeah, like what Ilya said, is one of the narrative themes, and it's played in very heartbreaking moments of the game. And I think the message that I wanted to convey is, of course, this kind of the essence of loss and inevitable death. And I can tell you some interesting stuff about my thinking, what I was thinking about when I was trying to come up with the main motive for this theme. It will be some nerdy stuff, but anyway, there is one particular thing considered the basically musical word for death in in the history of music. There's something that many composers used as a symbol of death, which is Gregorian chant based on an medieval poem, and that is called Dies Irae. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Does anybody know what is Dies Irae? The original chant goes something, and forgive my singing, but it goes something like Dies Irae, Dies Illa, and etc. It's a long thing. So this particular beginning of that chant is, as I said, is basically used as a musical word for death. So I thought, okay, why don't I use it as well? But I didn't want to, of course, to just use it in its original form. So I came up with a similar but different motive that you can hear in the beginning of that theme. And if you listen to it again, then you can clearly put the words Dies Irae on it as well. Of course, I didn't do that, but you can. So that was kind of a symbolism that I wanted to have in there. I don't know if anybody actually noticed that, but now you know.
Somebody was faster than,
Yes.
than I was, and already
Yes,
wrote it in
yes,
the chat.
that's correct. That's how you spell it, Dies Irae. Yeah. And it's Latin, and it stands for the, if I remember correctly, the Day of Wrath, which is also very thematical. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's one thing, and another thing that was really interesting is that we actually collaborated with Pavel on this theme in a way, because after I finished it, and then we wanted to record it with the live choir, I had to move houses, and it was inevitable. I could not really stop that process, so I had to disassemble my studio. And at the point where we reached to the live recording, I did not have a studio really to work on it, so I couldn't mix, because after you get the recordings from the choir, from their sound engineers, you have to mix it back in your track, of course. And I couldn't do it, so someone had to do it, and there was I think a long story about who and how, but Pavel ended up mixing it, and I think he did really well. So that final version that you hear in the game that you're listening to right now is his mix of my track. So we collaborated.
Yeah, was the work of two Pavels actually.
Yeah, double Pavel power.
One, yeah, double Pavel power. Yeah, this was really interesting experience because I've had a lot of experience mixing stuff because in free time I'm a record producer and sometimes mixer, and it's very interesting to touch the others' work, because you just trying to apply your vision of how it needs to be sound like, and you always trying to feel how you need to mix it. And it's very interesting because the music of Rogue Trader and the set narrative theme have the same set of instruments, the same approach, and it was very fun to make it to make it sound properly in in the context of our entire music. And yeah, that was fun. Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yep.
So there is a question from the chat. I hope this isn't the wrong moment to ask, but can you tell me the story behind Heinrich's Romance theme and why it's composed the way it is? I suppose we're talking about the main Romance theme, or is
there is no specific theme for Heinrich's Romance. We do have
so I think
Romance theme for all the romances in the game.
We're talking about
Spark in the Dark 34.
Yeah, that's one. This one, right?
Yeah.
I can't resist with this music giving me the vibes of like 80s sci-fi old movies, retro futuristic movies.
I remember when we were iterating on this theme, Hugh Starrock wrote something like that. It gives you the vibes of these kind of themes, but specifically like Soviet era animations, something like this. Yeah, because of this timbre that you hear there, it feels pretty old school, and that's why you have that kind of feelings.
I think it changed a bit from that iteration, but it still gives me that vibe.
Yeah, I think because it have this glide synth, like portamento, like wee effect.
That's the thing.
It just many people associate him with the 70s or 80s sci-fi, like with Taman walks stuff or old synth stuff. It's really the thing.
Yeah, I can tell you the story how the initial description of this task was given to us. Our creative director, Alexander Mishulin, when we were discussing like how we're going to approach this team. Basically, the most important phrase regarding this team that he gave to me is that it's supposed to be feel like love during war and against the odds. That was the main idea behind it. And we were really afraid to approach this task because it's very unusual task to create a track which would fit to the Warhammer 40k universe, where is only war and things like this. And then it's supposed to be a romance theme. It's supposed to be about love, about feelings, and it's supposed to fit for so many different romances. Like, you do understand what I'm saying if you played the game with different romances.
It's against the odds all around.
It's supposed to fit at the same time to Maraja
you guys
and to Iliad romance, and these like two different parts of the spectrum.
Yeah, you guys nailed it, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was written by our composer, Nikolai Filipovich. He's done also a lot of work for like all the third chapter music, Drukhari biome setting music is written by him as well, and also he wrote a lot of narrative themes. So yeah, he did a lot of work, and yeah, he's a cool guy, and sadly he couldn't join us today, but
yeah, maybe next time. I see Didikiki saying in the chat that only Romans actually ended his Iliad. That was platonic. This was actually an interesting experience for all of us, I think, because this is the first time we ever made a platonic romance. I think the narrative team also had like a lot of challenge with it, I suppose, and I think like this theme captures that surprisingly well as well, because it fits well into the whole narrative of against all odds that we talked about earlier. So this is like very unlikely romance with very like difficult fates for participants, but it happens.
Yeah, there was another question that I actually like and would want to ask, if you don't mind. So there is a question, do you sometimes make tracks for a particular scene, like current Death of the Legend, for example, or is there like a certain directions are you getting for the tracks, and that's what you are working with? So the answer, yes and no. But in most cases, in such games like ours, there you have like crazy amount of options and super lengthy playthrough with a lot of scenes. In most of cases, we decide in the beginning of the project, let's say we need 10 different narrative tracks, which is going to be used in certain situations. And these tracks supposed to convey certain feeling for a player. So romance theme to be played during romances, powerful enemy theme to be played during conversation with like major enemies, sad narrative theme, Death of the Legend, for the moments where a player supposed to have tears because of the emotional moments that are happening in the game. And yeah, this is our basic approach for that kind of themes. But also sometimes for specific cutscenes, like the cutscene in the very beginning of the game, we write specific music tracks. And yeah, because sometimes these 10 narrative tracks that we have, they just do not fit to the scene, and they're not good enough for this particular cutscene. We want to emphasize on certain moments in the cutscene. And yes, sometimes we do write specific music for specific scenes. So for example, in Rogue Trader, as I mentioned, intro or the prologue. Then there is a scene when you see the warrant of trade. There is also specific
I
music.
remember that part actually being recorded somewhere closer to the very end of the development.
Actually, it was added after
It was added
the
after,
release.
so yeah.
In patch 1.1, we added this music cue, because our producer came to me once and said, "Ilya, we have a lot of music, but this very first moment in the sea warrant of trade, I hear silence. Why? We need something there." And I was like, Pavel Peripelitsa, please help me. We need something there.
I actually think. Sorry.
It happened to the most of the cutscenes and all this stuff through the game, you know, because many cutscenes and all the stuff had just silence, and Ilya just came to me and said, "We need music, so write music." Okay, bro. Let's go for it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah. Also, there are some specific music cues for scenes like then Drukhari still in the sun.
Yeah.
It is
Spoilers.
not like music, conventional music. It's mostly like horror strings, adding something to this.
Some dark ambient stuff.
Yeah,
I believe.
I just wanted to mention that I really love the whole thing that even if something wasn't present on release or with a patch or with a DLC or whatever, sometimes we actually may come back and revisit something. That doesn't happen often. Like, don't ask us for this all the time, but sometimes we're ready to do that, and I think that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, I believe I can spoil a little thing regarding music and future of music on the Rogue Trader.
Sure.
So as you may know, we are working on the DLC at the moment, and I already can say you that we are going to have new tracks there, obviously, and also one of these tracks that was originally written for the DLC, we're going to spread it across the game. We're going to add it, like I'd say, in a 10-15 specific places, encounters. So the music in the original game going to be even bigger than it was.
That's really great. Actually, just a afterthought, which I didn't have before we were preparing for the stream. Maybe if you have the track we used for the intro video for DLC 1, the one, oh my god, I forgot the word, the trailer for DLC 1. Do you by chance have it so I can turn it on so people can hear it? We already shown it in a way.
I understand
there, so it should be fine.
But here is the thing: there are two versions of this theme. One version that was written specifically for the DLC, and it is used in DLC, and there is another version that's been adapted to this trailer, and actually it's got some major changes from the original theme.
Let's go for the one in the trailer, because people can already extract it if they want, but I think it would be a good time to show it.
I will need like a minute or two to find it. So yeah, you guys
so we can show it. Meanwhile,
keep talking,
we can answer a few questions meanwhile. I'd really like to hear about how Chaos themed tracks were created. We'll get onto that, I suppose, soon. What type of scene is your favorite to compose for? That's interesting. Double Pebbles. What's your opinion?
What the question again?
What type of scene is your favorite to compose for? I suppose they mean like what kind of situation or something.
That's a tricky question. For me, it was one of the footfall tracks. I believe it's called Mattis Endurance.
This one?
What?
This one?
Yeah. Interesting fact, this is my personal favorite tracks that I wrote for Rogue Trader, and it's not that popular as the main footfall theme or other footfall themes, but I really like this one. It's have this steampunky scrapyard feeling, like it's like almost from something from Mad Max universe or stuff like this. It's I think it was written for some especially for some dialogues in Cantina for a specific character. I don't remember the character's name, but Ilya maybe can help me with it.
It wasn't used for specific dialogues. It's just one of these footfall teams. We have 4 exploration tracks there. One of these teams, maybe it's Martyr Endurance. I just do not remember exactly, but I know for sure that one of these tracks can be played only in Cantina. And yeah, the Jai is the character.
Because this is the Cantina, basically. For me,
I need to go under the
tracks...
hood of our project to answer you. I don't know for sure at the moment.
I remember the brief that this was some kind of brief about the character, and just wrote the theme based on this characters on this particular character. So I was reading about it, and okay, it's something like very sneaky or just a little bit bluesy, and I need to combine these elements with this footfall pirates and at the same time Warhammer sounding, and it was very, very fun to do, because it's not the typical task than you working on the game like Warhammer Rogue Trader, because it has a lot of buts. I mean, it has a lot of I forget the word. It have a lot of qualities, and it must have a lot of qualities in music, like it must be piratey, it must be sneaky, it must be bluesy, and at the same time it needs to fit in Warhammer universe. So yeah, it was really interesting to work on this theme, because I had a brief about this one particular character, and what the dialogues are with this character, what the context of the scenes with the character and other stuff. It was really interesting.
Ilya, are you done yet? Okay.
Take a look at the chat,
Let's see.
Discord, and you'll find the link.
The top one or the bottom one?
The one which is .wav.
Okay, sounds like this one. So guys, this is more or less like
fresh thing.
Fresh, yeah.
Even though you heard it.
So this is just a glimpse of what you're going to see.
Yeah, because this version were heavily adopted for the trailer specifically.
Yeah, it was shortened a lot. Just to fit
it was shortened, and like this middle action part, it was written specifically for the trailer. We do not use it in the game. That's a little hint.
Yeah, it's still, I think it creates a cool, I don't know, vampirish vibe, something. Like,
Maybe. Who knows?
yeah, that's the impression I get anyway. And
Some people in the chat, I think they, yeah, I believe it was Jai. Yeah, I
yeah, I
believe
think
it was
Jai
him.
fits because you meet her at Martyr's Endurance, actually. Adeptus Masochus.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember how we did provide the description for footfall tracks to Pavel. And yeah, like the biography of Jai was one of the materials which were used for the initial inspiration for
Yeah,
the
and
footfall music.
it helped a lot actually because in the settings like footfall, it's very important to catch this vibe because as I said previously about many tracks of the game, it was such a creative challenge to combine these elements of pirate like music, and at the same time it needs to be Warhammer enough. It was really tricky sometimes. It's not that easy as it sounds like.
Yeah, I can
I just
imagine.
can say, yeah, I can mix the Warhammer and pirate thing, but it was really hard to do it properly. Especially with the first tracks. But I remember the first track was for Footfall was I think it's self-titled track in the album,
Footfallen?
and yeah, Footfallen, yeah. This was the first track for
This one, right?
Footfall, and yeah, and I remember how it was written. It was written like I wrote the demo like really quick, and it's already was good, but you know. There was some tweaks, I believe, because I remember a few days before I was just trying to figure out how to create it properly, how to add this, string instruments, how to mix it properly, how to add this, Imperium Warhammer vibe, and you know, um, and in a few days I just sent the demo to the team, and they liked it mostly. But in the first versions of Footfallen, there was, as I remember, there was a more choir, I think. So because I was thinking mostly about Warhammer, about the I was thinking mostly about the Imperium, all this stuff, not about the pirates and all this, sneaky bluesy things. It came, this thoughts is actually came later. So yeah, it was interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to this story regarding Footfall. Whenever we were trying to establish the style of the Footfall music, I remember I was proposing not going for pirate-ish, Tartugish kind of vibe. One of the reference that I was providing is, that was a track from Star Wars Fallen Order, The Who, the throat singing Mongolian guys.
I like the whole pirate Tortugan vibe. I was really excited when I first heard it. I think Footfall was the location that was used for the pre-alpha, the first basically stage of the game where you could actually see it more or less complete. Because in vertical slice you have a lot of placeholders, you still have like many things not functioning and generally being really raw, And here it was like a portion of the game where you could actually play it, and it was beginning, if you remember, in the beta from the fight on Footfall, and you get thrown into the game knowing nothing about it, into this music during the beta, and it was still a great experience.
Yeah, but this idea of like focusing on piracy in this footfall tracks, it did not come first. Initially, we were trying to represent like this mesh of different cultures all over the Warhammer universe. How what a mix of cultures is being created here on such station as Footfall, and only then, after like couple attempts, we just find this idea that actually, yeah, let's try to make it like a Tortuga in space.
Yeah, it's basically, it's sort of.
Yeah, but it sort of fits in this thing about the cultures, but it's mostly, it's mostly not about the one particular culture. It's mostly about a culture that no one heard before, and that's such an interesting quality that I believe we found in some musics of Rogue Trader, because sometimes we used it in Garden World tracks, like with all this synthetic didgeridoo, Australian didgeridoo, and because it was set in jungles, and we don't want a typical jungle music like with all the woodwinds. We need to sound it like really crazy, like maybe electronic and unusual. So
the mix.
it's also applying to the Footfall, and I believe there was a lot of cultural stuff in Footfall.
Yeah, I suppose it is time we move on to the topic that has been asked for some time. Pavel, tell us a bit more about the Necron and the Act 5, Act 4 and stuff. And of course, the demon boss fight.
All right, let's start with Necrons first. First of all, there was a question we were discussing.
Do you want me to turn on some track? Like, give me the number.
Just let me say something, and then you can play.
Sure.
It. So, I just wanted to say that we've been talking about like what is the favorite part, right, of the soundtrack, and like what is your favorite track. So if I had to choose again what kind of music I would do for Rogue Trader, I would still choose Necrons, because I just love it. I love the vibes. In general, I think I make dark music much better than I make whatever kind of happy and uplifting music. It's just, I don't know, that works for me. So I enjoy making these kind of really dark, like you notice all my soundtrack is Necrons and Death of a Legend and all this kind of thing. So it hit the right spot. That's the music that I like. So yeah. Anyway, Necrons. I think you can start by playing the
Ancient Dynasty?
Ancient Dynasty 61. This was the first track I made, and it's kind of like an opening for everything, yeah.
The metal. Steel March. I love that. Hello from colleagues at I Speak Lodge.
Hey.
So Indigo is asking a good question. Interested, how do you record those parts? Do you guys have your own library of sounds? Or you just sit in your studio with metal pot in your hand and record the sounds?
I have one actually, and it was recorded as just it was recorded just for the Rogue Trader. I used a lot of metal junk just from some stuff of in my house, and I used a moonshine just to record this hard metal hits. And I took I record some impulses for the convolution, reverberation. It's basically for the people who don't know what convolution reverb is. It's you kind of taking the sound and just applying it to the other sound. You're just applying the qualities of our sound and creating some kind of echoey reverberation effect. And then I was working on some metal textures for the music. I used a lot of recordings from this moonshine instruments that a friend of mine created like many years ago, and it sounds really good. It's just have this like metal hit, and it's great. So yeah, I've created a huge library of sounds, and I've created my own instrument just for the Rogue Trader. It was about instruments. It was just a little metal can, a little piece of wood, and a little steel string just all around it. And I played it with a bow, and it reproduced some strange weird sound. It's like something like this. And then you put it into a sampler or into some software that can manipulate with sound. It sounds beautiful. In the you can hear it in the most of the tracks, but you can describe what the sound is. What the hell is this, man? It's just a weird bold sound, but yeah.
Yeah. What about the other, Pavel? What about you? In the same question?
I think I have a so I have a different approach. I don't really record much of the actual stuff, so I'm mostly in search for different libraries, different instrument sounds. So I think there are two approaches to this. One is the one that Pavel just described, and both of them are equally time demanding. You either create your own sounds and then you spend hours on just making that one sound, or you spend hours on searching for the right sound that is already that exists somewhere, but you have to find it. So I think for me, I'm mostly searching for things that would fit exactly into my vision, into how I want it to sound in general, right? So that's and I think speaking of Necrons, First, when I started working on the soundtrack for Necrons, that was actually, I have a confession to make, that at that time, I was not very acquainted with the Warhammer universe. I knew that it exists, but I did not really...
Heresy!
I did not have the in-depth knowledge of it. But that means that I had to do a lot of research. I had to understand how everything works. I had to understand specifically what Necrons are, and that, I think, that actually helped me to make the music better, because I knew that I don't know enough, so I had to go and learn. I had to, read stuff. I had to listen to music, look at different materials. and basically dissect the concept of Necrons into basic components. What are the basic components of Necrons? And for me, it is that cold, inhuman form, and the interesting part about this lack of humanity was translated into music with the fact that I did not use any acoustic or real life instruments. There is not you will not find a violin or a piano there or anything like that. It's pure, all very electronic, very more like at some point sound designish more than music, because that is how I think this fact that they're inhuman, they're not. There's nothing there that is related to humanity. So that's how I translated it into that. And yeah, I'm getting to that. I see the question in the chat right now about Egyptian music.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Yeah, so that is another component. So we have on the one side, we have this whole thing about cold machines and inhuman mind, mechanical movements, this kind of thing. And then on the other side, we have the art style of Necrons, which I find very interesting, and I also like it very much. And that's another point as well when you are working on soundtracks for something, for a game or a film or whatever. I think that's one of the main points, is that you have to find ways to match it well with the artwork. So it's not a standalone work. It's not just a nice piece of music by itself. It has to be matching. So that Egyptian vibe, the ancient Egyptian vibe of Necrons, of course, I had to account for that as well in my music. And again, not going too much into some deep musical terms, but mostly through using some elements of specific music scales, like Phrygian dominant scale and stuff like that, trying to find those movements, melodic movements, harmonic movements that would hint, but not really make it too obvious, make it too annoying, because we're definitely still in Warhammer universe. We're not making some kind of ancient Egyptian whatever soundtrack. So yes, but the influence is there, of course, and I try to convey it as much as I could without making it, too much. And there was another funny moment in the Necron soundtrack. I remember when I just made the first demo of that first track that we've been listening to, the Ancient Dynasty, and I sent it to the team, and I think the feedback that I got was, it sounds very old school, like 90s, some kind of Terminator movie. So
well, I
it was
mean...
funny, but that was not the right vibe. It was not the right vibe. So I had to, to rethink the approach and find something else. But it was interesting. Like it went through, and Ilya can confirm that it went through a lot of metamorphosis on the way from where it was at the beginning and what it is now.
Actually, I do have a page where I can see the amount of the iterations that we did for each track. And let's check what was...
Yeah, that's curious.
With Necrons. Okay, so combat tracks. It took us... Holy fucking... That's a lot. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20. For all the combat tracks, 22 iterations. That's
total for all of them, right?
Only combat tracks.
Okay.
So 2 out of 5. Like half of the music setting took us 22 iterations overall. We started in June 22, and we finished it only in January 23. So all these 22 iterations has been half a year. For exploration tracks, for Necrons, it was way less. Okay, so it's 9 iterations for the first exploration track. Second exploration track took 5 iterations, and when we decided to rework it completely, and that's another 4 iterations, and exploration 3 took 5 iterations. So yeah, like 50 iterations for music setting or something like this.
Yeah, and I think the question, why so many iterations? I think we should answer that before I move on.
Yeah, please do.
So,
Why?
Ilya, what do you think? Why?
Okay, so sometimes, especially when you start a new music setting like Necrons, we usually start with an exploration track to find the style, to find the sounds that are going to be used for all of these tracks. It's basically our experimental track where we trying to answer this question. And sometimes this first track can take like 2 or 3 months to get it done to the point that everybody is happy. So who approves music in Owlcat? So it is creative director, it is studio audio director, it is lead sound designer of the project, and then also there is games workshop. So
so you have to make sure all of them approve what has been done.
Yes. And yeah, it takes time. Sometimes it happens like, I don't remember, maybe it wasn't with the Necrons, but with other track. I believe Gardenwold had this issue. We wrote like half of the combat tracks. We put them into version, like it was alpha or beta, I do not remember exactly. But basically, after that, we got the feedback like from the team, our internal feedback, that it doesn't feel like Warhammer universe at all. It doesn't suit. So we basically had to rewrite that music like entirely. With Necrons, we did not have that kind of issue, but there was a moment then Necron's combat track sounded like closer to rock and metal music. We, especially for one of the combat tracks, we try to replicate this specific slap bass sound from Korn, if you know such band.
Really?
Yes.
Which track was it?
I
mean, the track in the game.
Not sure. No. Is
was the Great Sleep?
I don't remember.
It was Soft Combat.
Oh, then that's the Great Sleep is over.
Yeah, the Great Sleep is over. So in the current version, you almost can't hear it. We get rid of it because of the feedback from different sites, from different people. But initially, we were pushing hard for this thing, and we spent like 5 or 6 iterations trying to get that feeling, that sound, and we got it, but it wasn't approved, and we had to rethink how we approach it.
I think this is generally a big sort of tragedy about the game development, that so much work remains unused eventually because of iterations, because of proving and stuff. That's just how things work. I suppose you have to live with it. I think like the creative parts of like the music, the narrative, maybe some like art, they suffer the most in this case because they go through the most iterations. At least from my observations, I may be wrong. Sorry if I am. Like I hope you guys like don't feel too bad when something doesn't get into the game and you like wanted it to.
I think in general, when you start working in game audio, you have to get used that not everything that you like other people will like, and that will not end up in the game in the end. And you have to be fine with that. You have to just let it go. Just part of the job, I guess. And it builds resilience too. It builds the I think it's a part of the professionalism when you can detach yourself from your work and say, okay, I like this track, it doesn't work in this project, that's fine, I will make a new one.
I just have to add that sometimes it works other way around. Sometimes you create some like placeholder kind of content, and you think that, well, okay, I just have to do it right now for some sort of
I know what
test.
you're talking about. I know what you're thinking about.
But then I'm going to remove it, redesign it,
For
and
momentum.
things like this. So, yeah, if you played the game, you probably heard this sound like millions of times. High momentum and low momentum phrases. When it triggers when your momentum reaches level, then you can use your ultimate ability and
Correct, yeah.
yeah, and correct act. And whenever your momentum falls into desperate measure range, you also hear low momentum. And basically, we were trying to. It was alpha, I believe, or something like
It was
this.
just a placeholder, quick recording.
Yeah, it was literally a task. We need to make our combat feels more responsive, providing feedback and things like this. And for momentum, we had no VFXs, we had no UI response talking about this. And so they asked me for some sort of sound notification to be created for this thing. So I did this like in 10 minutes. I literally threw some sounds. I recorded this voice. I processed it, and I was like, okay, we put it here for some time just to go through the approval that our combat feels responsive and provide enough feedback, and after that I will replace it. So 2 years later, these sounds still there, and I don't like them. I hate them, but I can't remove them because, yeah, people get used to it. They using it as a informative. Some sort of thing that provide them information. They are not missing that they already have like an ability to cast their ultimate abilities and things like this. And yeah, that's it. So it works other way around as well.
Yeah, people actually, some of them have been wondering what they say in that phrase, but yeah, that's funny. That's really funny. Okay, let's get back to the Necrons and demons. The word goes back to Pavel.
Yeah, I think the challenge, and we just heard from Ilya how many iterations we had for the combat music. I think the challenge there was partly also because what we discussed earlier about the nature of combat music in the game. It had to be all the phrases, and I think it was 5 phrases, right? So each track has 5 phrases, soft and hard, and all of them should be interchangeable in any way, connect to each other seamlessly, while still having that Necron vibe, and while not being too close to other setting combat music, because of course, combat, I think, tends to get more similar due to the nature of active kind of epic battle music. It just gets more similar between the different, but we wanted, of course, to keep it still unique for Necrons to save that Necron vibe. So I think, yeah, it took a lot of tweaking to make sure that everything works. All of them are work together seamlessly, and yeah, you can play them in any order. It took a long time, but I think the final product is pretty good in terms of how it represents Necrons. That's my opinion. I don't know what other people think about it.
Well, people seem to be excited.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed working on Necrons, definitely. And as for the demon boss fight, which is the Empyrean Beckons,
No. Which one was it? The number?
It's just give me a moment. It's number 21.
21.
The Empyrean Beckons. Yeah, let's just listen to a bit of it, I guess. Yeah.
Is that your voice from the background?
No, it's not. But who knows? Maybe it's Pavel's Perpelitz's voice.
Maybe. I just came to your studio while we was sleeping and recorded.
Yeah.
A chorus of Pavel's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the what best describes this track is actually a comment from someone who left it under the video on YouTube, which I like. That's kind of defines the idea that I wanted to put in there. It says, takes listening to it a couple of dozen times to even begin to comprehend everything going on in this track. And then someone else is writing that it's a good tribute to the Horus of the Warp and coherent enough where you can recognize parts of it, but it soon changes. So I think I really like that people get it because it means that I was able to convey my idea there. But the point was, I wanted it to be chaotic, chaotic enough and unpredictable in a way, and really kind of messy, but of course still organized in a musical way that it doesn't sound like just some random stuff. And it took a while, I think, to come to that sound. And that was another track where we had an early version and then we decided not to go forward with that, and then we redesigned the whole thing from scratch because it
This
was
track,
going
right?
in a different direction. Yes, it was going in a different direction. So we thought, okay, that's probably not going to work. So I started it from scratch, and it became the one that we're listening to right now. So yeah, it's a very chaotic track, and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, it conveys the feeling of the warp pretty well. So, do you have anything else to tell us? Maybe some fun stories about the demon music? Maybe something happened during the recording or something?
Well, I did not have any demons invasion in my studio. That, if you're asking about that.
Except for me, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Heretic.
Yeah, but no, I don't think there was anything special about this. But like I said, it was a process of just finding the right tone for it. So it's also not too similar with, the other Chaos tracks, because it's a kind of a little bit different idea in there.
Thank you, Zero Gypsy. Says that the music is top and the game is top.
Thank you.
Ilya, do you remember anything else about this demon track that I forgot?
I remember, that the mixing was tough with that. We did a lot of iterations regarding this specific thing. Let me check actually the page where we do have all the iterations. Maybe
Yeah, also
it will
because
hint me something that I
You
forgot.
know,
also
I believe the most of the music that related to Necrons had very tough mixing process. You know, it's because too much stuff happened at the same time, and for the sound engineer, from the sound engineer perspective, it's such a hell. It's it's really hard to tame the frequencies, tame the dynamics of the instrument. It's really hard. It's really hard.
So yeah, for this specific boss fight track, Chaos Demons, it was 12 iterations. We started in May 23 and finished by the end of September 23. So 4 months.
yeah.
It
So it's a
took
good
that
track.
much time.
So you guys now
Because-
have like a rough understanding how long does a track making
Yeah.
take. So it's usually multiple months, right? Was there
It depends.
Yeah.
Like boss
Well-
fight tracks, narrative tracks, they takes a lot of time. Exploration tracks, usually it's possible to get one like in 2 weeks, maybe in 3, maybe in 4 weeks. But like
question
lengthy
to you
combat
guys.
tracks takes a lot of time.
I have a question to you guys. What was the track that was composed the fastest of all for each of you? Like the one that just came out of nowhere and was quickly approved. And
Credits, maybe.
How long did it take?
It depends, in my opinion. So, for example, music for cutscenes, Some of them were written like in 2 days, like interchapters music, like these short videos between the chapters. Pavel Perepelitsa wrote it, and in most of cases it was like 2 or 3
One
days.
day, no, one or
one
two.
day.
Yeah,
1 or 2
2
days.
days.
Yeah, because yet again, it's music for specific video. It is way easier, at least to my experience, to become to compose for video, to composing for video, rather than making a separate track.
And
It's up to the composers to answer, but at least this is my impression.
And the original reveal trailer with Theodora was from Pavel as well, right?
Yeah,
Was it?
absolutely.
Yeah, and I believe it was like a week or so.
Yeah, it was like a week and a half, I believe, because the footage was always changing, and it's also needs some to tweak something, and it took some time. Yeah, it's not the fastest one. I believe the most fastest tracks in from the production wise was the cutscenes mostly. Yeah, the cutscenes.
What about you, Pavel? This is so weird to address you, Pavel.
I think I don't remember, to be honest. I think all of them took quite long because, especially with Necrons, it took a long time to get into the right mood. I think the sad narrative was not that long in the end compared to all these 20 iterations of Necron combat
I
music.
can say you the dates.
Yeah, you
I
have the
got
data,
everything.
so I don't remember.
Everything is recorded
Yeah,
Yes.
for future
everything is
generations.
written down.
Okay, so sad narrative
But-
team, 8 iterations, and it took 2 months and a half.
Yeah, I think roughly.
That's the death of the legend, right?
Yeah, I think roughly all of them were like around minimum 2 months, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I'd say so. And interesting thing about Death of the Legend, the mixing of it took 7 iterations.
Yeah, but
Different people tried to mix it. No one succeeded until Pavel Perepelitsa comes into house and say,
Power privilege.
I will have to do it by myself if none of us can do this.
yeah. If I only have enough time, I think I would be pleased to mix the entire soundtrack, but mostly we don't have we don't have so many time to mix and master the music, So yeah, this was the only case, and it was really great case. I really pleased about it. I feel grateful about it, but it was the only case. So
All right, so guys, we have about like 10 minutes left. So I think probably we should talk about the final themes that were created for the game, the epilogue, the credits theme, because I think that this is the first time in our game we actually have a credits theme, right?
Yeah, that's another cool story from Warhammer Rock Trader. Okay, so how it started? Initially, when we are in pre-production milestone, we are planning like how many tracks we are going to have to compose. And in previous project, there was always a specific spot for like we will have to do something for credits, like 2 minutes of music. Let's put it there, and in the end, if we have time, we will write it. So it did not happen for Kingmaker. It did not happen for Wrath of the Righteous.
Finally!
Finally, yeah. And I remember like 5 months before release, this theme wasn't written, and we were already struggling to get everything done by a certain point to have music locked, because after that it was a pretty big process of mastering this music and get it done as a separate release. So like 3 months before the actual release of the game, we had to have all the music locked. That did not happen. Actually, it happened a little bit after, but still, we were trying to reach these dates at that point. And I had a meeting with our producer Anatoly, and we were discussing like how we're gonna get this done. By
Meeting
this,
or beating?
Well, it depends. It was a meeting and beating of the all. This is how we call the budget in our studio. So basically, we were trying to figure out: is it possible to get the credits team done by this moment? And it wasn't mostly about the money. It was okay in terms of money, but it was the time constraints was the main reason why we were trying to make our OST less, like cut a minute there, 20 seconds there to get it done to by the specific time. I was about to say to him, like, actually I said to him that Anatoly, okay, this is the time where we have to cut the credits team. And he asked me, Ilya, are you really want to look at the credits of your game where you were lead sound designer and not listening something specific, specifically written for this moment? And I said, no, you know that I do not want that feeling. And he said to me, well, then you have to find a way how we're gonna write it and get it in time. And this is how this team wasn't cut from the soundtrack. And yeah, now Pavel Perelitsa can tell you a cool story about that.
Yeah, Ilya came to me and he said that you can do pretty much everything in the I forgot the word. You know, you can do pretty much everything with our style, in terms of our style, in terms of, you know, the vibe that we already have with the music. So can you please create the track that represents all the most major themes, and you know, it must be as longest as possible, as you can write for you know, I don't remember actually how much time we had for this track. I believe it was a week or so. Yeah, and yeah, he just said do anything you want, you know, with you know, just with you know, in this in the context of our music, in the context of our theme, but do it like really quick, like, you know, you do it like really fast. You need to finish the music for, you know, for the next week. So I just set I think it was the end of the summer, and I just
Okay, I do have the dates. Actually, it wasn't a week; it was a month.
Wow!
We started.
It went like a week.
Yeah, we started on August 11th of 23 and finished it in September 21st. So it was months and a half almost.
Yeah, but I actually remember that, you know, firstly, you said that we need to get it
Get it done by September.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, I just said and started writing, like, you know, I used live recordings of choir. I used you know, some themes, like some general themes from the game, like Norma's theme, because I actually really like it. I really love to create some references to it. in all the music. And I just started writing it, and it was like a freedom, a flight of freedom, from the creative wise. I just starting, okay, I want to add this one, I want to add this, I want to record a slap bass for it, and wow, it works really well. So yeah, it was a flight of freedom in terms of creativity. And at the end we got these tracks, and there wasn't so much iterations, I believe. There was maybe two
it was
or
super
three.
fast.
Yeah,
So-
it was super fast.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me interrupt. So regarding the time iterations and things like this, so
Everything is recorded.
3 iterations were made in 1 week, and after that, that's why there is a gap between iterations. You, Pavel, went on vacation for 2 weeks. I remember this
Yeah.
specifically. And after you came back, we've got some feedback from our creative director, and that's why we had 2 additional iterations. Wait a second, I'm lying to you. 4 iterations in a week and a half, and the 5th iteration by the end of September, because we had some feedback to address. It wasn't like anything major, but this is why it looks like we spent months and a half for the track, but in reality it was made in 2 weeks, and then a month after there was a 1 quick iteration to fix some stuff, but that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was concern about the drop of this track, because it has some a drop section in it. It's like this section combines
Actually, Starok, could you make the music louder? This is the moment that Pavel talking about.
Yeah, this one. It was a combination of the 10 boss fight, of the, I believe the Imperium Void Ship tracks, and it had some glitchy stuff. It's but it's still very, very electronic. It's almost like, yeah, White Warren Choir, exactly. It have it almost the Mechanicus type of music. It's almost like really hard electronics in it. And we started discussing it in the team chat, that can we write it, can we fix it and make it less electronic, or can we keep it? And we choose to keep it, and I believe this was the right decision.
It fits really well.
Yeah, it's really fits really well. It's as I said previously, this theme is representing all the music of Rogue Trader. It's have this religious feeling. It has this industrial electronic 90s stuff. It have the melodies from most of the major and general themes of the game, and it just a mix of it. It just a huge bold, kind of like a DJ set of it. So yeah, but it's more complicated than the DJ set. But yeah, I can describe it like this. It's some kind of DJ set of Imperium, of the most, of the most
2 Pavels, the
coolest
DJs of
themes.
Imperial.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically the task was specified like this. Hey, Pavel, you've got some time. You can write whatever you want, but basically write something that reflects your feeling after this journey.
Yeah. And this journey, as you hear, was really tough sometimes, and big. Yeah. Because the game development is really big and tough sometimes. mostly.
All right, guys. So we're out of time. We'll let the audience ask maybe a few last questions, guys. If you have any questions, go on right now. What do you think?
I saw some questions about. I believe it
The
was
hardware,
a guy
I think
from.
there was something.
Yeah, the libraries and VSTs.
Yeah.
And it's a geeky question, but I can say really quickly what I used, in terms of software. Most of the patches for synths was created in Serum synthesizer. People who works really close with music production. Music production knows what it is. And I used a lot of Ableton, internal Ableton instruments, like the samplers, the effects. It's really great. I used a lot of hardware synths to get this hybrid electronic and slash analog feeling for the music. And if we're talking about the orchestra libraries, I used like cinematic studio libraries for brass and strings and some different. I actually don't remember what the choir libraries is, but there was so many because the music of Rock Trader is so choir centric. It's as Pavel Lipsky noticed previously, we had a lot of inspirations from Gregorian chants and all this stuff. So our soundtrack is it was built all around the choir and the organ, and we just added some synthesizers, industrial stuff to it, and
No,
it
it's
sounds good.
it's so simple,
Yeah.
We just added something.
We just added something, yeah.
I'm not sure regarding the lyrics of the music. I think there were some issues with that, so I don't think we can post them. Thank you guys for coming to the streams, to listening to us. We're always happy to answer your questions and talk to you. Thank you. What are your favorite bands? Last question.
Interesting. I'm a huge fan of Nine Inch Nails and Massive Attack, and all this 90s trip hop and industrial music. I'm a huge fan of it, and also some IDM stuff like Aphex Twin, Birds of Canada, and some modern electronic music like Arca, Sophie. All this weird kind of hyper poppy stuff.
What about you,
Yeah.
Pavel?
I think if I had to name one band only that I really like, it's Muse. And another very maybe unexpected choice for me would be Mike Oldfield
Mhm.
in terms of the electronic music. And I actually listen to a lot of classical music just for fun. That's not really a band, but more like a genre. I don't know. To be honest, when people ask me what music do I like, I say I like good music because that's the only way to put it.
Yeah. Ilya, what about you? I think they want to hear as well. You're not talking. Microphone.
Speak because your microphone was muted. Okay, so my favorite band of all time, I'd say it's Enter Shikari. It's just this weird mix of electronic music and rock music from mid 2010s and so on. And I still like them, and I've been on their concerts like in 3 different cities on 2 different continents. So yeah, once I had the chance to even drink with the soloist. It was in Canada, in Vancouver. Then they came there, and yeah, the venue was small, and I was staying near the bar, and here we go, here is the guy, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And also, like at the moment, I'm mostly listening to things like Bring Me the Horizon. What else? forgot the name. Yeah, basically some like metal rock music mixed with some electronics. Yeah, that's what I personally
Isn't
like.
that the best? All right, guys, we're pretty much done now. I would like to thank you for coming and finding the time to talk to the audience. And I thank all the audience for coming to listen and ask your questions. And see you soon on other streams and with all our new releases. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.